Hello and welcome to Grammar Bites. In this video we'll look at obligation and prohibition. Obligation means it is necessary to do something, either because of external rules or personal need or personal authority. For external rules, we use have to, have got to, and be required to. That means the obligation comes from the outside. For personal need or personal authority, we use must and need to. That means the obligation comes from the speaker. Let's look at some examples. First, we're going to look at the examples of obligation that comes from external rules. You have to wear a tie at work. That's necessary. I've got to get the company car fixed. Have got to is used in British English only, and it is more informal than have to. All students are required to show their ID cards. That's the rule. Note that be required to is more formal than have to. And now we're going to look at the examples of obligation that comes from personal need or personal authority. I must call my parents. It's their wedding anniversary today. This is not a rule, just something that I think I need to do. That's a personal need. We need to stop eating out, it costs too much. Again, that's not an external rule. That's my opinion. Must can also be used for strong advice or recommendation, often with really. For example, you really must talk to the manager about the promotion. You look exhausted. You really must take a few days off work. For obligation in the past, we can use had to, was were required to, and needed to. We don't have a past form of have got to or must. Here are some examples. I had to go to bed early when I was a child. In school, students were required to wear black uniforms in the 1940s. I needed to renew my passport before my visa expired. No obligation means it is not necessary to do something. There is a lack of obligation and necessity. For no obligation we use don't have to, don't need to, needn't, and not be required to. For example, Steve doesn't have to worry about his commute to work anymore because he's started to work from home. You don't need to buy a new dress for the party. You can wear something that you already have. Don't worry. You needn't rush to finish the project. You still have time and we'll help you. Passengers aren't required to check in online. They can do it at the airport. For no obligation in the past, we can use all the present forms in the past. So we use didn't have to, didn't need to, needn't have plus verb 3, and wasn't, weren't required to. Let's see some examples. She didn't have to cook because her husband had already done it. My neighbor gave me some vegetables, so I didn't need to buy groceries. I needn't have cooked so much food. There were a lot of leftovers. I wasn't required to work on the project, but I helped out anyway. Note the difference between didn't need to and needn't have verb 3. In the example above, we don't know if the person bought groceries or not, but in the example with needn't have, we know the speaker cooked lots of food. Prohibition means it is necessary not to do something. For prohibition we use mustn't, can't, and not be allowed to. We use these forms to express that something is forbidden or against the rules. For example, Pedestrians mustn't jaywalk on the busy street. It is a traffic violation. You can't return the product after it's been used. It's against the store's policy. Visitors aren't allowed to touch the paintings in the museum. For prohibition in the past, we can only use couldn't and wasn't, weren't allowed to. There isn't a past form for mustn't. Here are some examples. I couldn't bring my phone to the class when I was at high school. It was against the rules. People weren't allowed to use public transport without a mask on during the pandemic. Now it's your turn. Please check the link below for extra practice. Have a good day!